If there is one thing known about the Kirby series, it's the great quality of its games. Some may find the series boring, repetitive, or way too easy, but everyone can agree that Kirby is a super consistent series. The importance of consistency depends on each person. Some may think it's crucial to having a healthy series, while some others think that it's an overrated concept that just hinders the good games because one or two games are bad. As for me, I am in the middle. While I think consistency is good, I also think people focus way too much on it instead of just looking at the games individually. But why am I talking about this? Well, as you all pretty much know by looking at the title of the video, today I will rank every Kirby game in a tier list. And after a long time on deciding which game goes where, I realized just how great the Kirby series is. The level of fun every game here gave me is incredible, and I sort of feel like I am betraying some of these games. But I think I found a way to praise each game while ordering them in the form of a tier list. Let's get this whole intro stuff out of the way. Welcome to Kirby Mod. Every week I will release a new video celebrating the long history of Kirby as a tribute to this pink puffball that changed my and so many people's life. And today we will look at every Kirby game and I will order each one of them in the form of a tier list. The criteria for this ranking isn't too specific this time, it's just what I like more in games. For example, things like gameplay, replay value, level design, boss design, and story are more important to me than things like graphics and audio. Not to say those things don't matter, that they don't boost games a ton, looking at you Epic Jorn, but it's not my priority. This is also a great time to introduce each tier. We first have the not bad, but this series is too good so they may as well be bad tier. This tier is where the games that I find boring or mediocre go. I don't think any Kirby game is bad, but the games in here are those that I only play if I'm doing a Kirby marathon or I am really out of games to play. The next is the good tier. This is for the games that I don't come back to, but I wouldn't be bored if I play them. Then we have the three next tier that are pretty simple. They are games that I like a ton. Of course, the more enjoyment I get, the higher they go, but they don't have any special description like the last two. After that we have the amazing games. This tier is for those games that are really close to being my favorites. If that favorite game didn't exist, the games in here would easily be on that spot. Speaking of which, that last tier is the best tier. This spot is reserved for one and only one game, my favorite. Oh, before we begin, I should also note that in the tiers itself, the games are not ordered, meaning that if two games are in the same tier, they are basically equal to me. With boring explanations out of the way, let's begin the Kirby games tier list. To keep this tier list more interesting, we'll go in release order, with some exceptions, meaning that our first game is none other than that, the one, the only, the original Kirby's Dream Land. This is going to feel bad. Off to a great start! Kirby's Dream Land is the first game in the series and wow does it show. No abilities, no slide, no double star, not even running. Not to mention Kirby's Dream Land's biggest problem. This game is 30 minutes long. I am not one of those guys that think the longer the game the better. On the contrary, I love short games. But 30 minutes? Really? Thankfully, once you beat the game, you unlock Extra Mode. That is a way harder version of the game. But that's just another 30 minutes. And not to mention Extra Mode's difficulty comes from spamming a ton of enemies. But still, this is the first Kirby game. The first game that introduces us to many iconic characters, locations and music. So in a way, it's good that Dreamland 1 is here, because this just means that the quality of Kirby games has only gotten up since the beginning. Call it first game syndrome, I call it humble beginnings. Talk about a great sequel! Kirby's Adventure improves on everything the first game does, and then it adds the most groundbreaking feature, copy abilities. Copy abilities change the game so much it's hard going back to the original. We now have 7 full worlds, each with their own set of levels. The bosses can upgrade, even introducing a fine favorite in the form of Meta Knight. There are many games to play, switches to press, and a ton of abilities to get. But not everything is perfect. Not every ability is made the same. I'm not even going to start defending light, some are very similar. The level design can be a little unpolished sometimes, the controls are very slippery, you lose abilities every time you get hit, but the worst part by far is the slowdown, because Jesus Christ, it's a 10 FPS game in a 60 FPS console. Everything you do causes slowdown. It's so freaking that playing this game feels like you're playing in slow motion, which is why Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland is in the awesome tier, with the original being on great. Think of everything positive about Adventure I have said and add a smooth frame rate, better controls, better graphics, better minigames and some better extras. The original had an extra mode, but it was just the same game with only 3 life points, and while this remake still has that mode, it also has Meta Nightmare. In this mode, you play as Meta Knight, and while it's not as refined as Superstar Ultra or Planet Robot, this is still a really fun mode. At the end of the day, it's still Adventure's level design, but this remake goes to great lengths to make it as fun as possible. Also, this still doesn't have 3D classic Kirby's Adventure, but if it did, I would put it in the same tier as Nightmare in Dreamland, so just imagine it there. Yeah, I don't have much to say about this one. It's just a pinball game with a Kirby skin. It's neat to have a pinball game with actual bosses and an ending, but that just makes it so if you want to beat the game, you have to deal with the usual pinball bullshit. Last year. Another one I don't have much to say about. In this very unique gold game, you need to defeat all the enemies and enter the hole in the least amount of shots to win. A pretty simple formula with a ton of depth once you start to understand the controls. The main story mode is fun and all, but it can get very repetitive very fast. Where this game shines is in the multiplayer. The constant fight between Kirby and Kiwi trying to kill all the enemies while stealing all the stars from the other while using power-ups to bump into each other while maintaining your stamina high so the other player doesn't get an extra turn is so much fun. Honestly, if it wasn't for the multiplayer, this game would have been in the last tier, but that multiplayer experience bumps it up to the good tier. Great, another game I don't have much to say about. Puyo Puyo but with Kirby. If you like Puyo Puyo, you like this game. If you don't like Puyo Puyo, you don't like this game. The dialogue and voice acting
Bronto Bert!
adds a ton of charm, but other than that, just buy Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series X. Kirby's Dream Land 2, the first game in the Dark Matter trilogy. While taking key aspects of adventure like copy abilities, this game goes in a completely different direction. Now there are only 7, well 8, but the last one doesn't count, copy abilities for you to choose. While that sounds like a disappointment, you need to factor the 3 new animal friends. Animal friends are usually obtained after defeating a boss and completely change Kirby's moveset. Kind can swim fast, Q can fly fast, and Rick can walk at a normal speed. But not only do they change the core moveset, they also change your abilities, but that's not my favorite feature of this game. My favorite addition are the rainbow drops. Every world has its own rainbow drop, and to get them you need to find them. You also need a specific ability to combo to get them. This might sound tedious to some, and even I can defend the last one, but unlockables in a Kirby game are so fun for me, since they take advantage of the various abilities and gimmicks of that game, leading to a more fulfilling experience. But to be fair, Kirby's Dream Land 2 also has a lot of level design problems, and being on the Game Boy again heavily limits its true potential. Still, a solid grade. Some of these early spin-offs are very simple, huh? Kirby's Black Ball is a fun breakout game. That's pretty much it. The soundtrack is stupidly good though. Good. Finally, something spicy. Kirby Superstar is often referred to as one, if not the best Kirby game. The Kirby Magnus Opus of the original director Masahiro Sakurai, taking everything from the last game and expanding them to incredible heights. The level design, supreme. The bosses, amazing. The abilities, better than ever. An actual good story, just so. An amazing soundtrack, of course. I can very easily see why to many this is the greatest Kirby game. But to me... yeah, it's pretty good I guess. I don't know why, but this game doesn't really stick with me. Maybe the controls, the weird decision of splitting the game into multiple sub-games, the not so interesting gimmicks, the bosses, or maybe a combination of all the above. But I just think there are way better Kirby games out there that delivering everything this game does but better. Speaking of which... now this is a good game. Probably the main reason I don't like Superstar as much. Superstar Ultra is just a perfect remake. taking what works, expanding on that, and improving what didn't work while adding a ton of content. First are the improved audio, graphics, and control. The original looked pretty good, but some sprites looked really weird to me, and the controls were a little bit stiff and slippery at the same time. Well, in this game everything is smooth as butter. I don't know how they did it, but Kirby just feels right to control. The touchscreen is used in very smart ways that only help and not annoy. Switching abilities in Milky Way witches has never been this easy, and after those amazing first sub-games we have even more. Revenge of the King is a great homage to the original Extra mode, and it's a great way to complete Diddy's arc from villain to rival to friend, while setting up Bandanity as his own character and not just a Goomba with a hat, ending in an amazing hammer-to-hammer battle with Mask DDD. Meta Knight also got a treatment with Meta Nightmare Ultra. Oh boy, that fight with Galacta Knight will forever be one of my favorite moments. But of course, we can't forget the incredible True Arena, showing that when Kirby wants to get hard, he does. Wait, that sounded really wrong. Just an overall great package. Still not cracking those really high spots for me, but still an outstanding game. And back to simple spin-offs. It was good while it lasted. This is Kirby Star Stacker, another puzzle game. This time, you need to link 2 or more of the same animal friends, with stars counting as bridges between the animal friends. Yeah, I guess good. Basically the same game but with a story for the SNES. I mean, I guess it's better but still just good. Dreamland 3, the second game in the Dark Matter trilogy. As the name implies, it's the sequel to Dreamland 2, but to be more specific, Dreamland 2 Ideas. Take the animal friends. In this game, we now have 6 animal friends, and now with cleaning as a new ability, we have a total of 48 combinations. Also, take the rainbow drops. In Dreamland 2, they were used to offer more replay value and to fully utilize the unique characteristic of the animal friends, while in this game, we also have something like that, in the form of heart stars. In each level, there will be an objective, things like don't step on plants or do a minigame. If you do the objective, you get a heart star, find every one of them, and fight the final boss. Up until now, everything has been good, but here is where the problems start to arise. I said that Dreamland 2 takes a lot from Dreamland 2. Well, I forgot to mention that it only takes from Dreamland 2. I get not every ability having a complete moveset because of the animal friends, but it still feels bad to go back to single use abilities. And I don't think it's very worth it to change to animal friend system since many ability combinations are pretty useless, and those hardstyle, while fun at first, become really repetitive and boring in the later levels, especially since every world has basically the same objectives but with a twist. I still prefer this game over Dreamland 2, but not enough to be in a different tier. The last game in the Dark Matter trilogy. Boy, do people like this game, and I am here to say that I also like this game, but not as much as some other people do. But I should probably start with the positives, like the story. I haven't talked too much about the story of this game, but this is the first game where the story in these games get really charming. Every cutscene is full of personality and Dark Matter finally feels like a true antagonist instead of showing up at the end. Ability combos are a super great idea. I really like the way the camera moves, making the stages more dynamic, and collecting the crystal shard is usually really fun. Okay, and a possibility. Ability combos suck! Some crystal shards are stupid! The bosses are bad! And the controls are terrible! Okay, in a more serious note, ability combos are really fun, but I think a lot of the combos, while cool or unique or powerful, slow the pace down a lot. The crystal shards are good collectibles, but some require specific combos that you can not get in that stage. Or if you can, you already missed the opportunity, meaning that you have to exit the level, enter the level with the abilities you need, then go to the level with the crystal shard and then play the level until you get to that part. Make sure not to get hit in the way. I still really like this game, but these products and some other minor ones keep me away from placing this game any higher. Do you like tilting Kirby, or do you think it's a stupid gimmick that ruins the game? For me, both. Good. Oh great, another useless oh no, wait, this one is actually really good. Kirby Sakurai is the last game Sakurai worked on. That's actually a lie, since he worked as a special advisor in Amazing Mirror, but no one cares about special advisors. This game is a car racer with the gimmick of it only being controlled with one button and the stick. Despite the intention of making the game as simple as possible, this game is actually super hard to play even a little bit well. But once you understand the mechanics, This game feels like a dream, making the otherwise boring air ride mode be a competitive playground. Okay Sakurai, that's 2 times in a row you made a super competitive game by accident. I don't think you are very good at making party games. But that's just one mode. The game's biggest positive and flaw is that you can choose between 3 different modes. Air ride as mentioned before, top ride which has its appeal but it sucks, and then there is city trail. If you're watching a Kirby tier list video, I probably don't need to tell you what city trail is and why it's so good. But I will do it anyways. City trail is the best. You get dropped down on this huge city and your job is to just fuck around and find everything that you want. After the time is over, everyone will participate on one minigame that determines who wins. This simple formula is great for playing over and over and over again. Every time I play this game, it feels like something new is happening. It's fun on its own, but with friends, that fun gets exponentially higher. Which leads me to the bad side, because I feel like this decision of splitting the game hinders the game more than it helps it, making each mode feel incomplete. Just imagine a true Kirby car racer with like 36 courses and a ton of characters to play, or a full city trial game with multiple maps, more items, more events, more minigames. Those games would be amazing. But that's not the reality we live in, which means it goes in the outstanding tier. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, one of the most unique Kirby games. For starters, we go back to their normal abilities with some little Superstar inspiration. Like, it's weird, some abilities have multiple moves like in Superstar but most don't. We also have a multiplayer in the form of 4 different color Kirbys. This was also in Army in Dreamland, which released 2 years earlier, but this one actually has a reason for the 4 Kirbys. Oh yeah, the story! This game introduces many concepts and characters like the Mirror War, with alternate version of our main characters. Instead of the courageous Kirby, we have the weak and scared Shadow Kirby. Instead of the honorable Meta Knight, we have the sneaky but powerful Dark Meta Knight. And we of course have the dimensional mirror that would later cause just a ton of problems. But outside of the unusual location, we also have the game's biggest gimmick, an open world Kirby shooting game. I often hear people say that this is a Metroidvania, which I kinda get, but if you look at it like that, the game is a lot worse of what it is. You have 9 worlds which you can discover and explore in any order, making every playthrough unique from the last. And while I like this setup, I feel it has a lot of problems. First, the map. You have to first find the map of each area, which can be a total pain, and most of the time I find the boss before the map. Not to mention the map sucks in this game. This map lies to you. If it shows that a room is above you in the map, 99% of the time the door is not above. Sometimes you take an innocent door and are then stranded in the other side of the area, because this game thinks it's very funny to put one-way doors without telling you. And the item collection. Oh my god, the item collection. I really value 100% completion in Kirby games. I think that's one of the main reasons why I love this series. Experimenting with all the abilities to find those collectibles is something I can only do in this series. But then there is this game. In this game there are a ton of chests, but the problem is that most of the chests are useless. Couple that with the open world nature and you have the most tedious Kirby game to 100%, which is why I never do it. I know I sound like I hate this game, but I really don't. It's just that I see so much potential in trying this concept again. Still, this is the first time when they got the normal Kirby moveset right, and all the abilities are super fun, especially Smash. It's because of this reason that it goes in the awesome tier. Another big spin-off. In this game, you control the power paintbrush and guide Kirby through the levels, and of course, you use the paintbrush with the DS touchscreen. It controls incredibly, it has an amazing art style, and it has an interesting soundtrack. My biggest problems are the bosses, or in this game, minigames, and some of the level design can be pretty boring. So to the great tier it goes. Maybe why I don't like this game so much is because of canvas curves, but way better. It looks prettier, the soundtrack is super underrated, it controls better, you don't have to touch the enemies before hitting them unlike the original. The level design got a massive upgrade and the multiplayer is super fun. Awesome tier. Okay, why don't this game exist? Bad level design, bad abilities, terrible story, boring bosses, useless gimmicks, looking basic move behind those stupid scrolls. The bubbles were a good idea, but treasure chests also use that space. Combining abilities was also a good idea, but every enemy dies in one hit, so it doesn't matter. Also, you can only combine sword and bomb with 3 elements, and also you get those scrolls in the end of the game instead of just having that option from the start. This game is the reason people think Kirby is evil and stupid. The Squid Squad are really cool characters, but they start looking like weaklings. Dark Nebula is the worst final boss in any Kirby game, and the worst part? This game came after Amazing Mirror and before Return to Dreamland. You know, sandwiched between one of the most unique Kirby games and, spoilers, one of the best Kirby games that pushed the series in a new direction for years to come. This game is the definition of basic vanilla Kirby. I mean, it's still not bad, and if it was your first introduction to Kirby, then you probably love this game, and there is nothing wrong with that. God knows I am super biased with my first Kirby game, but after playing every single game in this series multiple times, this game just has to go on the lowest tier. I really can't say much for this game. It's just special. The music, the art style, the animations, the level design, the collectibles, customizing your apartment. Everything is just an experience unlike any other. It's just so beautiful. This game is just the definition of happiness. Which is why Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn is the worst Kirby game ever made. They literally took Epic Yarn and destroyed everything that made it special. The graphics and sound are worse, they added a hard mode that cuts the music off and just annoys you, and they added abilities that ruin the level design. What's even the point? If I want to play a normal Kirby game, I will play a normal Kirby game. Epic Yarn is special because it was an experience unlike any other, balancing a relaxing presentation with an interesting level design, and the medals were a great incentive to explore and experience the magic of each level. But now that's ruined. The abilities ruin the puzzles and make getting the medals super easy, and that hard mode is like trying to sleep but there's a mosquito right next to your ear. This game just makes me mad, and the worst part, this game came out on 2019, 3 years after the Switch! Why not put it there? It would literally make the game way better! Nah, this game doesn't deserve the last tier. This game needs a whole last tier for its own. Fuck this game! Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Epic Yarn goes in outstanding. What's better than 8 Kirby? 10 Kirbys! In this game, you control this little star to guide the 10 Kirbys. It's fun at first, but it gets really repetitive real quick. The minigames are pretty dope though. Great. This should be the part where I start ranking Return to Dreamland, but I want to end this tier list with the 4 main modern Kirby games. So I literally made an entire video on this game, so go watch that. Also, rating a collection is kinda cheating, it's not even in the tier list here, but if I had to rate it, yeah, sure, awesome. I also made a video on all these games, they are going good. Team Kirby Clash also goes in good because it still has all the main problems the original had. It's just a little better and the boss selection is not totally reused garbage like the original. Kirby Fighters 2 goes in the great because it improves on the original so much, like it's insane comparing this game to the Deluxe, but the abilities, while better than the original, are still too slow and clunky for me. Also, just play Community Edition. Kirby Battle Royale, more like Kirby Bad Minigame Collection that was sold at the same price of Triple Deluxe and Planet Robot last year. And so we have reached the big finale, right here at the 4 newest mainline Kirby games, and the 4 best Kirby games in my opinion. But let's start from my least favorite to my favorite. Someone had to go here. Triple Deluxe is a fantastic game, but I feel the level design is not as good as the other games. They took out a lot of moves. Hypernova is the most intrusive special ability and it slows the pace down. Sunstones are fun, but keychains are not. To truly 100% this game, you need to get every keychain and there are way too many for you to get them in one run. Even if you got every single keychain in the way. Not even the other modes help with this. And the worst part is that every level has a gold keychain, which isn't a bad idea on its own, but you can't check in which level you got them. I remember that in my first playthrough I forgot a keychain and had to play every level again. But those are just nitpicks that the other games avoid. But it's still an amazing game. The story, the bosses, the extra modes and the new abilities make this one of the best Kirby games. I can totally see if other people put it higher in their own list. But for me, outstanding. I'm going to make so many people mad. Okay, hear me out. Kirby Star Allies has a ton of problems. Boring level design, bad collectibles, puzzles that literally solve themselves, the allies mechanic ruins bosses and makes switching abilities on the fly not as fun, so you can just get an ally instead. For example, water was one of my favorite abilities, but in this game I never use it since it's way better to upgrade your other abilities. And finally, the main story kinda sucks. If I was only counting the main story modes of these games, Star Allies would be very low, but that's not the case. And this is what saves Kirby Star Allies: replay value. We have two extra modes, Get Star Allies and the Ultimate Choice. And I guess Heroes in Another Dimension too, but that doesn't prove my point, but also that mode is super fun. They are your standard, play the game again with another character and arena modes. But what I like is that every single ability has its own campaign that you can beat. Couple that with Star Allies' simple level design and supreme boss design, and you get the most replayable Kirby game. While it's not my favorite, this is the Kirby game I have put the most hours to. It's just fun to pick up, maybe play some guest star, turn it off and come back later. When you get the chance to actually be forced to change up your playstyle, you realize that this game has the best ability roster in the series. Every ability is useful and fun, and if the abilities are not enough for you, there are also the Dream Friends, playable characters from all over the Kirby series. This is the end of an era, and God does it feel like. This game is full of references to old games, and god fucking damn it did they got me with the nostalgia. It may not be the best Kirby game, but it's full of what matters: heart. We only have two more games: Kirby's Return to Dreamland and Kirby Planet Robot. Both of these games are considered by a great portion of Kirby fans the best, and I am no different. But only one of these can be number one, and that is Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Jesus, this was hard. Both games have amazing level design, an incredible roster of abilities, great bosses, cool stories, and fun gimmicks. But I like Return to Dreamland a little bit more. While I think Planet Robot is the better game, Return to Dreamland was my first Kirby game, and I can't just ignore the huge nostalgia factor. That's not to say that it just won because of nostalgia. I think the story and ability roster are better on Return to Dreamland. Also, that reveal that Magolor was evil all along is still the best plot twist in any Kirby game. While the one in Robot seems to come from nowhere until you start reading the post description in the true arena, which is way after the twist happens. Robot, with its unique aesthetic, its integration of the robot armor instead of the painkiller super abilities and great extra moves did put a great fight. But in the end, this is my tier list. This is not an objective list of the best Kirby games, this is a list of my favorite Kirby games. But hey, why don't you guys tell me your own tier list in the comments below? Reading those comments is one of the best parts of these videos, and I'm super interested in what you guys think. And while you're down there, why not give me a like and press that subscribe and bell buttons for more content. I think we can all agree that Kirby is a fantastic series, and I cannot wait for the Forgotten Land. Who knows, it might be Return to Dreamland for me. Well, there's only one way to know. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, you are going to be the great Kirby month finale. But for now, that's all from me, and I'll see you on the next drive. Oh wait, I forgot two games. Here and here. Okay, bye.